Welcome back to another episode of Hospitality MD. I'm Kyle, your host, and today I'm very, very excited to have Christine Trippi on the show with us today. So Christine is the author of Yes is the Answer. I have my copy right here with my notes, and she's been she's been a veteran of the hotel industry for over 30 years. And she's currently CEO of the Wise Pineapple, as well as Senior Manager of Select Service Hotel Operations for Marriott International. Thank you so much for being here.
I am so excited to be here, Kyle. It is my pleasure.
So you released this book like a couple months ago, right? Like August 2019.
18th, no, August 18th was my launch date.
And like the book has really taken off in such a short time, and after reading it, it's really no surprise to me why that is. You've taken the complex, emotional, just like we've been trying to figure this out for years, decades, generations. Like we've been trying so hard. Hoteliers, anybody, all over the world, philosophers have been pondering these questions for millennia, and then you write like a 200-page book with nice pictures, and it's so sweet and cute to read, but it literally has all the information in it. You don't have a degree. Well, no degree, right? You did go to college for a little bit.
I went to community college, but I did not go away to get a 4-year degree or go away to school. I started right out of high school. And then while I was working, all those hours, I went to community, I went to community college. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just truly, honestly, like a testament to, I think, who you are as a person and your, emotional intelligence and, your soft skills for sure, just to kind of bring that back full circle. So,
thank you.
How did this book come to be in the first place? Like, did you at any point think, oh, I'm going to write a book, or like how did that start?
Yeah, thank you so much for your adoration and all your great feedback and support. It means so much to me because I'm going to tell you what, I was terrified to put this book out and to put myself on a platform this wide. It was very scary. And, I don't know if any of your listeners out there know who Brene Brown is, but if you don't, find out who she is because she's amazing. Just Google Brene Brown and you will get a load. Do you know who she is, Kyle?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, well, Brene Brown's amazing. And she went through something similar about putting herself out there and being vulnerable. And I was really terrified in my Wise Pineapple group and Facebook and whatnot. If I don't like something or if somebody is rude to me, I can just block or delete. But putting yourself out on this type of platform is really scary because you just have to take what comes. And I'm sure there's still, a lifetime that I'm going to get a bad review or I'm going to have somebody troll me. But it was Brene Brown who really got me to that point where I chose courage over comfort every day. So hearing great feedback from you and from hundreds and hundreds of other people, you just have no idea what a great relief it is and how it's serving the exact purpose I wanted it to, my goal and mission, that it's helping people change their leadership in their life. And so thank you so much, Kyle.
Oh, no, really, thank you, truly, because honestly, like, I've started sharing this with my team at my hotel, and to my surprise, honestly, like we just started like the front office book club, and this was the first book that we kind of introduced to get everybody on the same page. And we've had up until this point like 2 segments, and we've discussed the 2 segments, and not one person hasn't read the book. And
because
like it's like,
crazy.
Wait, like, how are you gonna do
this?
I was thinking I would come in with all my notes ready to talk about it, and then I'd be like, all right, who read the book? And I'd get like maybe one person, or
right.
Oh, I forgot, or oh, excuses. everybody's been reading and everybody's been engaged, and
So awesome.
you know,
Well,
the
and that
results
is
are already starting
another
to show.
goal that I had with writing this book. I know how hard it is to get people to read. And like we mentioned earlier, I did not go to college formally, if you will. I went to community college, which is still college, but I didn't get that 4-year degree and whatnot. But I am a lifelong learner. I listen to books during my commute. I read voraciously. I listen to podcasts. I'm always learning. I'm reading articles, and this is honestly how this all started, through an article. But so that was so important to me to try to help other leaders, especially people I lead, to grow in that way as well. And I always did a book club, and it was very difficult to get people to read. But if you write a small book, or if you choose a small book that's very easily achievable, where people feel like they're gaining success quickly, they'll get through it. Plus, if you don't have too much information, they're going to actually go and live it. So that's what my goal was, to create a little snack of a book with just this information: how to change the world every day, one yes at a time, and the 4 steps to always say yes. And that is why I wrote the book. I've been teaching this probably since the late 1990s. And then I
Okay,
was,
so it's been around for a while.
yeah, well, in my head anyway.
Yeah.
So I have been teaching this probably since the late 1990s, and then I took a hiatus when my son was born. He was born with a hole in his heart, and I was working at the Hilton at that time, and I chose to stay home for about 10 years because I was just afraid of everything that could have gone wrong and whatnot. I wanted to be with my son. So I did home daycare, and I worked at a Hampton Inn part time, just to keep my foot in the door. And then I went back to work in 2005. I went back officially to full time work, and that was at a Marriott. So that was kind of on hold there for a while. But I always delivered this training to my teams. I was always either a front office manager or in sales, or assistant general manager. And then when I became a general manager, I always delivered this training to my teams. Then, as I took this role that I'm in now, and I cross the country every week, I started delivering this training across the country. And every time I delivered the training, it was met with the same adoration. Just like, wow, this is so simple. I never thought of it this way. And people were just wowed. And then I'd always get people responding to me saying, we'd love for you to come and do this training again. Or can you tell me about this again? I've forgotten. It's been a long time since I saw your training. Or I have new managers on, and I would love you to teach them. So I said, I've got to write a book. So for years, I've been saying I have to write a book. And then actually I was saying that even before I got into this role, but once I started crossing the country and getting the same feedback across the country, I knew I had to start writing the book. So when I took this role, I said, you know what? Now that I'm not a general manager anymore, because being a general manager is overwhelming. all you select service general managers out there that might be listening, you know what I'm talking about. There's no spare time to write a book. So once I took this job, I said, every time I'm on a plane, I'm going to write. So I just started writing.
Awesome.
Here
So
we are.
basically, how did this book, I mean, sure, it came to be, but tell me about your experiences in hospitality, whether that's before you started working or at the beginning of your career and so on and so forth, that actually grew the seed that eventually became this book.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of my beginning, and I do talk about it in the book too. But I started when I was 17. I was a van driver / laundry girl at the Hampton Inn in Schaumburg, Illinois. You know it.
Of course.
And I wanted to work in a hotel so badly. I just thought working in a hotel was so romantic. So I applied at the Red Roof Inn. I was working at Ponderosa, and I was in the work program at school, just to preface that. I was in the work program, and I worked at Ponderosa, Remember Ponderosa? You might be too young for Ponderosa.
No, don't remember Ponderosa.
It had an awesome salad bar. Anyway, so I wanted to get a job in a hotel, and I was looking to move on. So I interviewed, and this is a great lesson for everyone out there. I interviewed at the Red Roof Inn. Suck it, Red Roof Inn. You lost something good.
Yes. You're better off without them anyway.
Right. So Red Roof Inn, Pizza Hut, and the Hampton Inn. And the Hampton Inn had just opened up. So I immediately got a call from Pizza Hut. They wanted to hire me. And that would have absolutely been the comfortable route to take. I absolutely could have walked into that job and just nailed it, done a great job. And I already was in food and beverage. And I could have just, walked right in and done that. And then Red Roof never called me. and then the Hampton Inn calls me. So I'm like, my heart's beating, my stomach is turning. I'm so excited. But then they say that the job they have for me is a van driver / laundry girl. Not that I'm above anything, but I was 17. I had just gotten my license not long ago. I had never even driven on an expressway. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to take people's lives in my hand? And on top of that, it was an 18-passenger van, and I would have to get a B license, like a bus driver's license. So I was like,
17-year-old high school kid with driving a bus full of business travelers to the airport.
Yes. And so I was terrified. I did not want to do that, but I wanted to work for a hotel. So I just did it though. I chose courage over comfort, and I made the choice to do it. And it changed my whole life. Because it was that little job that 1 year later, as an 18-year-old graduate, they gave me the opportunity to open up my own Hampton Inn as assistant general manager at 18. And that wrote my ticket for the rest of my life. And then that next opportunity, I went to the Crowne Plaza, and that's where I met my husband. And who I have children by, so I always go back and think, what if I took the easy route on that one decision and took the Pizza Hut job? Where would I be today? Maybe running Pizza Hut. I don't know.
Right. Maybe Pizza Hut would be like the best pizza chain ever. Maybe the service would actually be good when you call the phone, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know, but I'm telling you what, I always think about that one choice. So that's why if you are out there, if somebody is listening where you've got a decision in front of you, and you've got one decision that's comfortable and one decision that just scares the hell out of you, always take the decision that scares the hell out of you. That's always the right move, because you're getting uncomfortable and you're gonna grow.
Growth always happens outside the comfort zone. I want to go back a little bit, and because you said working in a hotel was a romantic idea for you.
Yeah.
Why? As a 17-year-old, what attracted you to the hotel industry?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I don't know, but I have the same thing with airports. I think airports are so romantic. And it's just I must be for me. As a 17-year-old, I had never been anywhere in my life. I grew up very humble. I have 5 kids in my family. We had a blue collar dad. We never a day in our life stayed in a hotel or went on an airplane or went on a vacation. Great America, Marriott's Great America was my vacation, and which was the best thing ever. But so I'm sure that unknown of far away and staying in a hotel and being on vacation was what made it romantic for me. And I'll tell you and anybody who's listening that 30 plus years later, I know, don't I look good for 30 years in this industry?
Not bad at all.
I tease. The 30 plus years in this industry, and the romance is still a bloom. I love every single day. And sure, there's hard days, but I love them for letting me appreciate the easy days.
Right.
Yeah, I love what we do so much. And even the airports, everybody said getting into a travel role will get old quickly. but I've been in this role for a little over 4 years now, and I still love the airports. I love to travel, and it's just awesome. I feel so lucky that I get to do this every day.
You and I are going to need to have like a separate sidebar about what you just said, because like I actually thought I was crazy for the longest time, because like, so I started out in hotels when I was 17 myself.
Okay.
When I was in high school. Greg actually hired me. He was my first boss.
Really?
So here we are now. Yeah. So that's kind of how we know each other.
That's
but
cool.
even like before that, I always had the romanticized thoughts of airports and hotels as well. Granted, I did have exposure to that growing up due to my mom being a flight attendant. But even like, my parents are like driving somewhere, we're on the highway and we pass a hotel and I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old and I'm just like looking at it, just kind of like thinking about it. And it's attracting my attention. I'm like, why is it? I could never figure out why until I actually started working in the hotel. So I thought I was crazy until I met you, or maybe we're just both crazy.
Yeah, maybe. And that's okay. It's a good kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
and it's funny that something I just said, if I can jump in on that. That I did not. I sort of touched on the book just a smidge on this. But something I talk about in my trainings and whatnot, something I just said to you, that I get to do this. I say that all the time. And it's funny because some people always say, I've noticed you always phrase things like that. And I always love to share this philosophy. And I like to call it the power of get. There's two. There's the power of get and there's the power of yet. But the power of get is when you change the words you say, your life changes. So a lot of people will say, oh, it's Monday, I have to go to work today, and that just brings you in that place. Yeah, you have to go to work today. But if you change your verbiage to I get to go to work today and change the world one yes at a time, or serve my associates and create a work environment that they love to come to every day. When you to flip the switch on the way you think about things and the way you talk about things, your life changes. And I've always said, I'm so lucky that I get to do this every day. And I really mean that.
I think that's honestly the key. That is the key right there, because everybody is always, like, okay, how do we fight burnout in the hotel industry? How do we fight burnout in hospitality? It's so demanding. We're talking about these questions over and over again. If you just change your internal dialogue, that's why after 32 years.
Yes, because as a leader, and even when I was in a line level position, this is my attitude and this is what I delivered. So you don't have to have a manager or supervisor on your name tag to be a leader. Everyone we hire is a leader. And just having that dialogue is contagious. So not just internally, but when you talk like that, people around you start to think like that. So yeah, it's 90% of what we do is how we say things, and that's what the whole book is about.
That's literally what we do for a living, and if we're expected to, yes is the answer to our guests and to our team, we deserve to have that same dialogue to ourselves as well, because we're still important too, even though we tend to have a tendency to put others' needs first and serve other people before ourselves, but it's still important to recognize that, we have to have that conversation with ourselves in a positive way too.
Right. And I'll tell you one of my top I have tos that I have to be intentional about changing to a get is I have to go grocery shopping.
Oh, so that was my struggle today too.
Yeah. Well, so I flipped the switch and I said, I get to go to the grocery store, and I'm not trying to find the funds to get groceries. I'm so fortunate to be able to afford my groceries. I get to buy healthy food, to create a nice dinner for my family where we get to have a great conversation. So again, I if you flip that switch enough times, you start to believe that.
And I think, because you talk about it a lot in the book too, just the repetition and kind of practicing it. And I think also just being self-aware enough to identify when, that maybe negative thought or that I have to is kind of encroaching in and kind of just grabbing that, moving it out of the way and bringing in a positive thought.
And it's not going to happen until you practice. Just because you learn something, just like I tell people every time I do my Yes is the Answer workshop, that just because you now know the secret doesn't mean you're going to be great at it. It's simple, but you have to practice. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. You have to practice it to have it become who you are. And just like problem resolution and empathy and the LEARN model, I'm sure you know the LEARN model, right?
I know LEARN, but I prefer HEART myself.
Oh, I love HEART. HEART and LEARN, they're both right in there. But it's that empathy piece that every associate and leader forgets because we don't practice it enough. You have to practice it every day.
And I think you also say this, obviously quite a few good things in the book, but you say that moment to like, rather than just jumping to the compensation or jumping to the half-assed apology or, kind of just let me get this uncomfortable sort of awkward situation that kind of like, I just want to get it over with. Right. But the guest is really just trusting you to facilitate like an important moment or maybe not so important moment in their life, but it's still their existence at that time, and we have an obligation to treat it with the kind of tenderness that it deserves. Right. So I think really taking that time to just, remember, empathy, and then go,
Right, exactly. And even when it comes to, say, yes is the answer, which maybe and dive into a little bit of that, just maybe share the first couple of steps in it. But like you said, the guest is expecting you to trust and whatnot, but typically, especially with the service people are encountering today, they're not very trusting. They're expecting there to be this argument or resistance or whatnot. But the minute if you follow these steps, and the first step is make friends first, you immediately put them at ease and they do begin to trust. Okay, I'm with somebody who wants to serve me, who wants to take care of me. And then they relax a little bit. And then you can go into the next steps through the process. But it's that make friends first that we almost always, it seems so easy, but we always, the majority of the time, that's what we skip. We just get right into, how do I move this person out so I can get to the next person? We just get right into either, I'm sorry, here's something free, or here's some points, or here, and we just want to go right into making friends first, building a rapport, sharing a trust space, so that they relax, they diffuse, and then you can work with them.
And I think, like, what we're really ultimately doing is just fighting the whirlwind. You mentioned in the very end of the book is, that's when we forget to make friends first. That's when we don't empathize, is when you've already had, 30 air conditioning complaints in your shift, and, the room is dated, and it's a oversold night, and it's just everything. Like, we at the front desk and really just life in general had to do with so many things that we've never been trained or even should be expected to have to do, but it's just part of the job and part of the game.
And it's all that stuff, and I know it hurts when you're going through it, but that's what's building you for that next phase. You wouldn't be where you were if you didn't deal with all those things. I wouldn't be where
Certainly
I
not.
If I wasn't walking people, and if I was, and I became so good at turning around those miserable situations into memorable situations that's what, trajected my career in the way it did. But I would never have gotten good at that if I didn't have all that practice.
Talk to me about how you, because I've heard you say this before, where you actually enjoy when a guest comes to you with a complaint.
I do.
I don't think any of the hoteliers who are watching this right now can honestly look at themselves in the mirror and say that they enjoy that. But I believe it when you say it. Tell me why.
And I really really do, and I mean this. And, of course, I don't want anybody to be upset. I want everyone to have a perfect stay. But the reason why I enjoy it is because for me, it's almost like a game in my head too. I'm very competitive, and I'm out there going, there's nobody I can't turn around. And maybe there's been one or two. Mr. Hess at the Marriott. No, no, Mr. Hess and we were on the same level, but he was something. Anyway, I
He was
digress.
just as competitive, if not more than you are.
Yes, exactly.
You met your match.
I did. I met my match. But truly, I do enjoy that one because I really mean it. When I tell you, I want everybody in my four walls to have an amazing experience, from my associates to my guests to my vendors, etc. And so, if someone's not, I want so badly to know it and to have that opportunity to turn it around. And like I said, I never go into it with this wall up. I go into it wanting to really understand their point of view and make it right, because I know we're wrong a lot, and I want to make it right. And so I don't go into a conversation to respond to it. I go into that conversation to understand how they feel and put myself in their shoes and see what I can do to make it right. And I have a very high turnaround rate. But I'm never afraid of that, because I'm never going to go into it in an argumentative state. I'm always going to go into it with, how can I understand this perspective, and what can I do to make it right? And if we have to agree to disagree or whatnot, that might, but we always leave friends. We always leave friends.
And because I'd like to challenge that a little bit, because I think that it's a little bit, granted, it's never easy, but it's easier to have that mindset. When maybe you're a front office supervisor, you're a front desk agent, you don't have to think about the big picture so much. Now, say you're a GM, say you're a director of rooms, whatever the case might be, and you now have that added component of, okay, well, we're not hitting budget this quarter right now, and we kind of have to think about the revenue side of it as well. How do you balance that? Because the reality of, I think that's kind of just like the dichotomy of being a hotelier, is like you have that fire inside of you to give like the best service, if somebody's not happy, just comp it, whatever. But then it's also like, okay, you have ownership that's breathing down your neck, because why are we giving these rooms away for free? Just how do you manage that, and how does that apply on a real life day-to-day setting once you close this book?
I love this this question. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you that your P&L, your financials, are not in that compensation, okay? Where your financials are, if you're on a PIP, a profit improvement plan, or if you're trying to make budget and whatnot, it's in your linen closet, it's in your freezer, and it's in your labor. If you're having struggles with it, I would go there first, okay? If you don't make it right with the guest, there's no spare customers. And in today's world, I forget the statistic. It was something like for every dollar you give away, you'll gain $9 in repeat business in satisfied customers and word of mouth. Okay. So keeping our customers loyal and coming back is our number one priority, honestly. Right. So for me, in my teams, I empower my people to what they need to do. And I have a whole workshop on empowerment because I always ask leaders, do you support empowerment? And they all raise their hand. And then I say, do your associates act on empowerment? And they don't raise their hand. So it's not enough.
Sure, of course.
Right? It's not enough to say you're empowered. You need to give them guidelines, because when you just say you're empowered, it's so vast that it cripples people. They don't know what to do because it's just too much. So I can go into more about that later in a workshop or something, but I've got a whole thing on empowerment. But I do empower my people. I trust them implicitly. And I trust them because I invest in my people every single day. And I train and I teach and I support and I coach. If you're waiting for that department meeting to have that conversation, it's too long. You need to coach and correct and adapt every day. Otherwise, patterns form. And you lose this culture of, is this okay? Is this not okay? Etc. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I do empower. Now, there's smarter ways to go about it. Do we want to comp a room, or do we want to offer some points, or do we want to actually find out what the issue is? 9 times out of 10, the guest genuinely just wants you to hear them. And a lot of times associates will say, or leaders will say, I understand that guest. But here's the thing. You don't understand that guest. You don't understand that guest until that guest understands that you understand that guest. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's a little bit of a kind of, you got to think about it, but sure.
You got to think about it. But the thing is, I might have had 15 other comments about the fire alarm that went off the middle of the night, and I get it, but I don't get it until that guest knows I get it.
Sure.
Follow me? So he's got to see that I'm like, oh my goodness, I can understand how frustrating that is, and you're really connecting with that guest. And all of a sudden he's like, okay, she gets it.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you will physically see them just diffuse, and be like, I just wanted somebody to get it. So 9 times out of 10, that's all you're going to need to do. But then again, I always like to go that extra degree and, do something special or whatnot. I'll give you a great example. This was at the Courtyard in Waukegan, and we had a guest. It was just when we turned over to RFID keys. Okay. All right. And it was over the night audit shift. A guest came in, tired, in heels, bad travel day, went up to her room. 2 a.m, key doesn't work. So she comes down, and the little front desk girl says, oh, sorry, I'll make you a new key, instead of really empathizing and all that good stuff.
I hate that.
I know. But you know what? We all do it. None of us are great at it because we don't practice it enough. So that's what you need to do in your huddles every day. Sidetrack. So she gives her a new key. She goes back up to room. It doesn't work again. Imagine how pissed you are. Okay. And I get it. I've been there. I'd be pissed.
It's almost a joke at that point. It's comical.
It's comical. But, she's in 3-inch heels. She's had this horrible travel day. It's 2 a.m. She's got to be up at 7 for her meeting, blah, blah, blah. So on our shift report, we get it emailed to us every night. Each shift would email it. And so, we have a guest alert on there. Anytime there's a guest alert issue, I want to know about it. First thing I do when I get in is I get right on it. I get Starbucks to-go container. I get bagels and donuts and, stuff like that. I show up to her office. First of all, I emailed her and let her know, the whole learn model. Okay, I empathize with her. I apologize profusely. I want to know what I can do. I show up at her office, and she explains she's going into this meeting. And I said, can I bring you some treats? Your whole group.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of anything like that before.
Right? Oh, I got stories for you. I show up at her office with to-go coffee, bagels, donuts, the whole 9 yards. We ended up getting a 10 from that guest.
Wow.
Okay.
Sure, like, of course you got a 10 after that, but, like, I've never heard of any. Were you a GM at the time?
I was a GM correct? There, yes. And we got a 10 from that guest. And again, you can take this miserable moment and turn it into this memo. She's going to have the story to tell forever, and we were sincere. I was sincere. I went with my AGM. We were sincere, and we, made her look like a superstar and everything. I didn't comp her room. She didn't even want that. She was so overwhelmed with what we did do. And it was great. So, I have one more example. You want me to tell this other example?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
This was at the Residence Inn. I tell this in my workshops a lot. This was at the Residence Inn Schaumburg, and I was an AGM. And it was my last day before I was going to open up Key Lime Cove Water Resort. You remember Key Lime Cove?
I love Key Lime Cove.
I know, me too. I opened up Key Lime Cove as a director of fun.
I love that's like the perfect title for you. It was made for you.
It really is. So at any rate, it's my last day. And the front desk comes behind the back office and says, oh, there's somebody really pissed off there up at the front. They want to talk to you. And I'm like, great. I'm excited. And first thing you do is never, never address a guest behind a counter that's upset, for sure. So I come around the counter, because when you're behind the counter, you're the clerk in their way. And then when you come around and you shake someone's hand and you're right there face to face, you're a person, you're a human being. So never do it over a counter, ever. So, and I hate to say never, but let me change that around. Always do it around the counter.
You caught yourself. I love that.
I got myself.
I love that. In practice, everybody, she lives it every day. You're seeing this
every day. Yeah, I'm not perfect either, but it takes practice.
But at least you're holding yourself accountable too.
Yes,
you know, that's the most important part.
Love you, Kyle. So I came around and I found out that her room did not get cleaned on the first day that she was here. And so she was like 34% of our guests, they don't tell you when they have a problem. She didn't say anything. But then on day 2, and she's this mom who doesn't travel a lot, she was excited about someone cleaning her room instead of cleaning up after her kids, and nobody cleaned her room. So then on day 2, she comes back, same thing. Nobody cleaned her room. Now she needs trash taken out. She needs newer shampoo. She needs towels, all that stuff. And now she's PO'd, and she deserves to be. She's not getting what we promised. So she came down. She's upset. So I did the whole thing. I listened to her. By the time she left there, we were hugging. We were good friends. I gave her 10,000 Marriott reward points, which was, expected, normal. Again, I didn't comp it, but that wasn't going to help her. I gave her points, which was something that would help her, which I know you get that. So then she leaves. And is that good enough? Even though she's my BFF now? No, it's not good enough.
Not for you, at least.
Not for me. So I go and I do sweet surprises. So I do some sweet surprises in a room, and then it's my last day. I left. Well, 2 weeks later, I received a card. I got it in my bag. A card in my my personal mailbox. She knew that she bought me a card, and when she found out that was my last day and I moved on, she asked the general manager to mail it to me. And so in it, and I can tell you because I've read it 100 times, in it she said, she reminds me who she is. I'll never forget Miss Quinn. I'll never forget her. And she says to me, she says, I just wanted to thank you so much for making my final night so special. She said, something about taking care of the situation with the expected normal compensation. But I have to say, I had an audible reaction of wow when I went into my room and I found all your goodies. And she said, I loved the Starbucks and the beautiful flowers. And she says, and my favorite was the piece of chocolate cake tied to a ribbon with a balloon outside the refrigerator. So outside the refrigerator was a balloon. It says, open here, or something like that. Or look inside, I think is what they said. And then inside there was the chocolate cake. And she just... Be creative. Exactly. She was just blown away by that. And I like to use this example because I like to ask people, do you think if Miss Quinn was ever coming back to Schaumburg, where is she going to go? Hands down, she's coming back to Residence Inn, right? No, she knows even if something happens, we're going to make it right. She probably told hundreds of people about that. And back then, we didn't even have Facebook and stuff. I'm that old.
Again, you don't look it.
Thank you. So back then, we didn't even have that. If it was today, that shit would have been on Instagram. It would have been on Facebook. It would have been on tweeting it,
it would have been nearly viral, honestly.
Exactly. So that's why you never lose when you save a guest. You never lose when you save a guest. Make sense?
I'm just going to make a little mental note of that one right there.
Never lose.
So like, let's change the scenario, basically. Guest is calling you on the phone, right? And they want to cancel their reservation.
I knew you were coming up with this. I'm so glad.
It is the same day, maybe you're sold out, maybe you're not. It doesn't matter. Basically, like, you want to charge the guest, have that conversation with the guest.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Well, let me back up a little bit for our listeners. Yes is the answer is a 4-step process to always, and I mean always, be able to say yes. So I won't get into all the steps, but I'm going to tell you the first 2 so we can kind of debrief this a little bit. The first step is to make friends first. Okay. So if I call you and say, hi, I'm what's your set? You're a diamond, right? Hilton's diamond.
Oh, let's add another layer of complexity to it.
What do we got? Yeah.
Well, that's it. The diamond. Let's do that.
Right. So, hi, I'm a diamond member, and I just found out my travel plans are changing, and I need to cancel tonight. Can you please waive that cancellation fee? All right. So now you're stressing. So the 9 times out of 10, what happens in a situation like this, when you're faced with a hard no question, is you let the anxiety get to you and you just shout out, no, unfortunately, I'm sorry, the rules are, and you just don't have this great interaction. But if you take a breath and make friends first, you immediately are going to build a relationship and diffuse the situation. So the first thing I might say to make friends first, well, let me ask you this, because I always like to challenge people to so that they're getting in their mind, thinking it through, so I can show you that you can do this.
Okay.
Can I test you? Is that okay? Am I putting you on the spot? Okay.
No.
So like we just had that interaction. How could you make friends first with me? I just said, hi, I'm a diamond member.
Well, I would start by, of course, thank you so much for your loyalty and for, first of all, even reserving a room at our property. Given the competition, we're so honored that you would have chosen to stay with us. And I'm sorry that your plans have changed and we won't be able to welcome you to the hotel. That'd be my first.
So that was beautiful. And, you recognize their diamond membership and thank them for their loyalty. You thank them for choosing your hotel. Now, I mean, literally everybody out there listening, if you were in that same situation, you immediately got that response, wouldn't you relax a little and go, okay, I'm with someone who's going to take care of me? Even if it's not the answer that I want, I'm with someone who cares, instead of just like, sorry, sucks for you. That's the policy, So you immediately diffuse this situation. And when you recognize someone like that, they calm down too. Okay, they get in that space. Now, so we made friends first. So now you go, this number 2 step is tell them what you can do. So this is a tough one. So this is all part of the yes is the answer, is understanding what are your hard no's and brainstorming with your team. Because believe me, there's still hard no's that I come across go, we're going to think about this. I'm not sure offhand because I don't know your situations and whatnot. But I want you to brainstorm what things you can do. Before our call, I knew this was one you wanted to talk about. So first and foremost, let me just ask you before, I always want to give the answer.
Sure.
What do you have? What's in your arsenal? What do you typically go to? What's your typical go-to?
So to be honest with you, I literally, up until this conversation, had no idea how I would approach this situation, because it's a challenge that in my personal work experience with my team, like, we experience this on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But now after talking with you, I'm a little inspired. So let me tell you what I'm thinking and see if you like it.
I love that you're inspired.
So, I basically, again, what I just said, thank you so much for being a diamond member and for having the opportunity to stay with us. And we're sorry that we won't be able to welcome you. I'd be happy to I'd be happy to cancel the reservation for you if that would best suit your needs. It would be at a fee. However, I'll give you my personal email, so when you do come back, I can provide some extra value for you when you do stay at our hotel.
Do you see how beautiful that was? You don't need me. See, you just need the steps.
I actually just needed to talk to you, and then I figured it out for myself.
So, and this is what I want to share with you, is that it's that make friends first piece. I'm going to tell you, it's why it's so magical. Not only does it build the trust and the relationship, and it sets your person down, like they're like, okay, I'm with someone who cares. That's all they care about, right? I'm with someone who cares. So you've got that. But while you're making friends first, you are literally putting yourself in their shoes and empathizing with them, and you are coming up with those yes answers. Like I'm sure that part of the time when you were giving me that make friends first, you were starting to connect yourself with that guest and wanting to find that yes answer. Does that make
That's
sense?
exactly what happened. Literally,
right?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
It's magic.
It really, really is. I'm actually shocked because for years I've been dealing with this. Like, how do you effectively like charge somebody but spin it in a positive way? And
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anybody who's been able to articulate or even, but I guess, I could do it the whole time. I just need to really think about it and
Exactly, and that's what
consider
I say.
the steps.
It's so easy. It's so simple, but it's not easy because that anxiety gets to us. But we just need to take a breath, make friends first, and then the make friends first brings you almost to that can do, And then here's some of the things I was thinking about in my head. Again, you just always keep going back to what you can do. Thank you so much for the loyalty, blah, 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 blah. I'm happy to cancel that reservation. And that cancellation charge will go right on your card or whatever that might look like or sound like. And then, but next time you come in, here's my contact, et cetera, et cetera. Those are some extra value things you can do. Loved what you did. Now, one of my things is, I often would offer maybe a first time courtesy credit. But
Oh, sure.
if you have a way to track it, and then if they have used it before, then say, I see we've already extended a first time courtesy credit, so I will be able to cancel that reservation for you, and then maybe go on to how would you like me to place that cancellation fee on your credit card or on the credit card on file, or would you like it on another card? So again, it's like offering options. They're still in control. Then another one is
maybe that's glorious.
Right? Is that I like that? I like that one time courtesy because honestly, I hate the cancellation fee. I really hate it. I'm not gonna.
Oh, sure.
I really do. As a traveler, our plans do change, but I understand as a business, we are holding this room for you. So but I do know the 24-hour thing is difficult, and I try to, be flexible. If I wasn't sold out, or if I'm dead sold out, here's another thing I used to do with the 6:00 cancel. If I was dead sold out and someone called, I said, listen, if I can sell your room, I'm going to work it. I'm going to try and sell your room. If I can sell your room, I'm going to waive your fee. If not, I'm going to need to charge the fee. Like that kind of worked it that way.
So creative.
Right?
Because then the guest is like, oh, well, that's pretty reasonable. That seems fair. Like,
exactly. And it can.
Because I understand it's like you're both empathizing. It's almost like you're inspiring the guest to be empathetic with you as a hotel manager.
Exactly. And again, it's instead of you against the other, all of a sudden you're on the same team against the problem. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort.
Over a counter.
Right.
Okay. So the one-time courtesy, that if I can sell it, and then if you get a real, pistol, maybe it's like, we've extended the one-time courtesy. I'm willing to take $10 off the cancellation fee. Which card would you like to charge it on? Something to that effect. Maybe, and you talk this through with your leaders. What are the guidelines that I can stick to? That I can be within. I had written down something. Just basically saying, putting them the options. Is it, would you like me to charge the card on file or a different card?
That almost like it does. It takes like the conversation, the argument away, because you're literally, it's like, this is your choice. Your choice is limited to the option that I'm presenting to you.
Exactly. And they're still in control.
Right. It's a win-win.
Yes, exactly. And, saying, when I was talking about being on the same side of the table, we talk about that HEART model or that LEARN model. And does Hilton do HEART?
Yeah, we use HEART.
Okay. I like HEART too. So when you're talking about that, it's not just about the empathy. When a guest has a problem, there's three pieces to it. One, what the actual problem is. Two, the feeling that they have with it, and the consequence. So it might look like I understand you need to cancel your room, and there's a cancellation fee. I know how frustrating that might be, and that's holding up your budget for your vacation. The consequence. I'm just throwing something out there, right?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, but when you can articulate those three things, especially, I mean, that's really taking it another step. Again, you can help get onto the same side of the table, and you're both working against the problem. Let's take something didn't work in their room. I understand that your AC didn't work, and that must be so frustrating being hot at night. I don't like to sleep in a hot room either. That's got to be holding up your whole day, and you're not getting sleep. That's a consequence. So now you're really describing what the problem is, how they must feel, and then what their consequences. And then they really feels that you get it.
Right. And I think I'm kind of having a aha moment myself, because I think what traditionally the way it looks is the team member is often looked at as the problem from the guest perspective. Yeah. It's this is the hurdle that I'm going to have to jump through if I want to get what I'm after, whatever that case might be. It's almost like it's a confrontation from before the guest even approaches the desk or before the guest ever picks up the phone. But to kind of take the personification away from the problem and just have it exist independently, it's foolproof almost.
Right. And when you're I talk the book is leading from the heart. If you're really leading from the heart, you really do want to understand. You really do put yourself in their shoes, and you really do want to make it right for them. And I know we all get a pill here or there, but even when I get my biggest pills, I'm like, I'm gonna beat this pill. So you make it a contest, if you will, for yourself. To work to prove to yourself it doesn't matter what's in front of me. I can turn it around.
Now, with that sentiment in mind, have you witnessed, say, a team member who maybe, I don't want to say a bad hire necessarily, but say someone who doesn't really have that hospitality bone in their body, kind of out of the right off the bat when they're at the hotel. Do you think that repetition in empathy and training that can cause somebody's empathy and emotional intelligence and awareness to actually increase and for that to be genuine? Or do you believe that it's kind of a you have it or you don't, and ultimately you can try, but you won't be successful if you don't have that innately?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say from my experience. I can see, I'm thinking one particular houseman. Here's what I'll say. That I ultimately for the overhaul, I feel like you kind of have to be that person. It's it's who you are, and it can be honed, and it can be developed, and it can be enhanced. But I think you have to ultimately have that in you. But yet I've worked with so many people when I talk about changing the world a lot, and it's all in the book and whatnot. And I'll maybe get an accountant that just doesn't have this feely thing that I do, or us true hospitality. They're an accountant. But when I can show them how they can change the world through what they do, then you kind of see a passion light up for them, So for example, I'll give you a great example. We used to send out our AR invoices, right? And my accountant type person was, much more analytical and, not real touchy-feely. But I said, I always like to look at every transaction and go, how do I make it an experience? So I said, how about, do you like getting bills in the mail? No. So what can we do to make this bill more fun? So we would put little trivia or jokes or quotes of the days in our invoices. So when they opened it up, they'd first get this cute little courtyard, and then they started feeling that energy through their invoicing. So little things like that. Does that make sense? Right?
It does. I'm just shocked. Like what? Like that's just
What?
invoices. Like you're doing it for everything, and I like it's so admirable. But it just really goes to show that can just leak into everything. It's not just your rooms division operations or your food and beverage. That's your finance. I mean, it's crazy.
Everybody. Here's another one. You've all seen those really fun when somebody leaves behind a stuffed animal and they take them around and they do fun stuff with it and they send them this little montage, which is so amazing. But even before I ever saw that kind of thing, same thing. I wanted to, that might be the last opportunity we have to make a connection with that guest and remind them of their great stay with us. So with each one, I sent, even if it was like a tie or whatever it was, we sent this little card in it it said reunited and it feels so good. We hope you enjoyed your stay with us, something like that. Christine and the Courtyard crew, so we always added those little things. Now back to my houseman. Here's what I'll say. I think that you can find the passion and the heartbeat in everybody's role, even though they didn't see themselves as that person. But if you're somebody who works with the guests every single day and you're not necessarily that warm, fuzzy, want to serve person, I think you can change, but I don't think it's something you can sustain. Mm-hmm. So I've seen I'm thinking of one particular houseman offhand, but I've seen many associates that I've developed. Like I'll launch an incentive and I'll start recognizing their hard work and those kinds of things, and they'll start getting really charged, but it doesn't last.
Sure.
They usually find that once that thing is ended or once something that it just doesn't carry through. So that's kind of what I've seen.
Yeah, your sentiment is kind of in line with what I've noticed in my past experiences as well. But I was, definitely wanting to get your perspective on that. I do think, though, that like there's just a certain breed of person that's cut out to be a hospitality person. It's just like, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that maybe that houseman would be, better utilized somewhere else. Being a good leader is about putting the right people in the right places.
Yeah. Exactly. And what I love to say about hospitality, and I tell this to all of my classes too, that I am a perfect example of this, that if you have the right attitude and the right effort, you can take this job and this industry as far as there's no ceiling you can't reach with the right attitude and the right effort. And that's what I always had. I had drive, I have endurance, I've got a great attitude, and I give 150% every day. And that's what I never, ever said, not my job. Or I always said, I'll do it. Had no idea how to do it, but I said, I'll figure it out. Just like opening Key Lime Cove. I had no idea how to open up a water park resort, but I kept saying, I'll do it. I'll do it. And that is why I've gotten to all the places I've gotten. And now I'm an author and founding my own company. It's about your attitude and your effort. And if you think about it, your attitude and your effort are the only two things in life you really have control over. How you show up every day and how much effort you're going to give to it. That's what is in your control. Not what happens, not what guess happens, but how you show up. And if you can do those two things exceedingly well and be legendary at them, there's no limits.
Oh, very well said, Christine. Do you have any final thoughts or words or anything? Or Greg, if you're still listening, do you have anything you want to say?
Greg, I don't know if you're out there. I hope you're feeling better. My final words. I love the attitude. I'm glad that we kind of ended on attitude and effort.
Absolutely.
Because truly anybody who's out there listening, no matter what your role is, if you show up and you've got a great attitude and you give full on effort, you're gonna make it happen. It's good. Those the opportunities. I always say, if you got it, you'll get it. and the opportunities will be there for you. So yeah, I love ending on that thought. And remember, you get to do this every day. How
Yes.
cool. Is that cool or cool?
Way cool. And actually,
Super
one
cool.
final question for you.
Okay.
What made you smile
Sure.
today?
Oh, I am going to tell you. I landed in New Orleans and I did a little visit for one of my hotels that is renovating, and I needed just grab a salad. And they're like, "Oh, there's a little place you can grab a salad down the road here." So I show up, and I love flamingos. The
Cool.
place is called Flamingo Go Go, and it's covered in flamingos. Everybody I talked to was so nice. And at one point, I wanted to take a picture of this board because I'm going to post it on one of my hospitality groups because it was a really great idea. And as I'm standing there trying to juggle my phone, my Diet Coke, and my receipts, the waiter just walked me by and goes, "Let me hold that for you while I get the picture." And I'm like, "You're amazing!" Just everybody
Anticipating
I
your
dealt with,
needs.
and didn't even just walk by. You know how just walk by. I don't see you. Stopped, held my soda, let me take the picture. So just total service provider, and that made me smile
Oh,
today.
that's awesome. I love that.
Right? Is that cool or cool? You need to
Very,
bump that
very
down.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Christine,
Yeah.
honestly, like I've had so much fun talking to you today. You've opened up so many like personal breakthroughs for me as a hotelier and just as a person, and I'm sure you'll do the same for a lot of people and even my team as well because they will certainly be meant for this video.
Awesome. And you made me smile today a lot. I just love you, Kyle.
Oh, I
And if
love you
it's
too.
okay, I know we're kind of hitting our time, but if it's okay, I'll just let everybody know. The book is called Yes is the Answer. You can get it on Amazon or at my website. Take a look at my website. It's www.thewisepineapple.com. And if you subscribe, every Wednesday I send out Wise Wednesdays with some positive energy or hotel know-how from the road.
I love the dub dub dub. I like. At
Yeah,
first, I
dub,
was
dub,
like, "What are you
dub.
talking about?" Then I got it. That's awesome.
Yeah, www.thewisepineapple.com.
Awesome, Christine.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's been
Thank
really
you,
like
Kyle.
honestly the biggest pleasure ever. I think
Yeah,
you and I will be in touch for sure.
I was gonna say for sure. And when I'm back in town, let's do a coffee chat.
I love it. Let me know when you're in town. I will
Okay.
clear my
Yep.
schedule for you.
Awesome. And your loyal spokesperson Gary can come too.
Yeah, we'll make sure he comes too. I'm sure he'll be feeling better by
Awesome.
then. At least I certainly hope so.
Awesome. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Oh, sure thing, Christine. Thank you so much, and enjoy New Orleans. Okay.